Hi everyone, I'm Shaylin here with Reedsy. Today we're going to be doing another Q&A. I'm going to be fielding some of your questions. If you have any questions you want answered in a future Q&A, you can leave them in the Google form linked in the description. So the first question here is, can places like Wattpad and Medium actually make you successful? So the answer is they can, but I wouldn't count on it. Have there been cases of authors using a platform like Wattpad and then going on to get publishing deals? Yes, it has happened. Is it the most likely or straightforward path to success? Probably not. Let's say that's what you want is to get a traditional publishing deal. You are more likely to have success doing that by just going the traditional path of, querying agents and then, going on submission. And if you want to work on increasing visibility, you can work on building your author platform. That's probably more likely to lead to a publication deal than trying to kind of go the roundabout way of using something like Wattpad. So has it happened? Have people become successful off those platforms? Yes. Is it a shortcut to publication? Not really, because it's kind of much less likely that you'll end up having mainstream success by taking this roundabout way of getting there than just by following the traditional path. If that's what you want, if what you're looking for is kind of to get a traditional publishing deal and be successful in that kind of traditional sense. If what you want is to just be successful on Medium or Wattpad, then pursue that path. If what you're looking for is kind of this mainstream success and to have a big book deal, you're probably better just following the industry standard path towards that and doing everything you can to maximize your chances by having a really polished manuscript, having a strong pitch, and building an author platform alongside that. So the next question is, do you have any advice to tell if your pacing is too fast? I feel like my scenes are fairly quick, but I don't want to add a bunch of pointless filler. So if you feel like your pacing is too fast, I would definitely not add filler just to slow it down. If you add pointless filler to slow down a book that you feel is too quickly paced, you will end up with a book that feels too slowly paced. Filler is often what will make a book's pacing feel too slow. A book with a slow pace, but none of it is filler, will feel well paced. Whereas a book that is, maybe correctly paced, whatever that means in terms of there's an appropriate amount of time between major events, but it's full of filler, will now feel too slow because it's too slow for what the story is demanding. Do not add filler, I would say, just to slow the pace of your book. It's okay to have a quick pace. If you feel like your scenes are fairly brief, that is okay. If you feel like something is wrong, something is missing, I would ask yourself if there are any aspects of the book that feel underdeveloped. If the book is cohesive and well developed and your scenes are brief, then this may mean that the book is just meant to be quickly paced. But if you feel like you are lacking development in certain areas, you can use that to kind of, flesh out your scenes a little bit more, potentially slow the pace a tiny bit. But maybe the book's pace doesn't need to be slowed. If you're really unsure, I think feedback is a great thing to look to. For pacing especially, pacing can be a very difficult thing to analyze on your own, but it's something that's really easy for people to give feedback on because it's kind of just based on reading experience. You can even get feedback from people who aren't even really experienced writers, even if you know someone who's just really into reading, just give them your book and say, what did you think of the pacing? Because that's really just going to come down to their reading experience. Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Was it just right? It's one of the easier things to give feedback on, but a harder thing to analyze in your own draft. The next question is, any tip on how to write short fiction that follows a character over 20 years? So when you're writing short fiction that is spaced over a very long period of time, I think the key is to have a really specific concept guiding the plot and structure. So let's say you have a character and you want a short story about this character that spans 20 years, and you just want to share his whole life story over 20 years. That's not really a short story, that's a novel. Let's say you have a character and you want to write a story about this character that spans 20 years, but you're specifically going to write about his relationship with his neighbor. That very quickly narrows the scope of the story because now we're only going to be jumping in at the crucial moments between him and his neighbor. There may only be one a year or one every 3 years, and that's the only points in time that you have to jump into his life in order to progress the story. That's my biggest tip for writing short stories spent over a very long period of time, is to compensate for the broad time frame with a very narrow concept in order to guide the structure of the story. So the final question here is, as a teen who writes for fun, I can't seem to stick with one idea for a book past the first few chapters. It normally fizzles out and I lose motivation. How can I stop myself from doing this? I included this question because I think this is such a common problem. So many writers have this problem. Now, the first thing that I'd say if you're a teen writer is that it might just be your age. This is a really normal thing for a teenage writer to experience because you're still finding your voice, you're still figuring out what you want to write about, and so you may be trying out a bunch of different concepts and not really finding the one that resonates with you or is true to you yet. And that's okay. That's actually quite a normal thing because you're figuring out what it is you want to write about. Problem of getting a few chapters in and then losing motivation is a very, very common one. What I would do is ask yourself, why do you feel like you're losing motivation? It's hard to know how to correct the problem without knowing the reason behind your lack of motivation. Is it because you lose excitement for the story? You're just no longer interested in the concept? Is it because you feel disappointed with the quality? Is it because writing the beginning of a book is just inherently easy for you? You have to kind of figure out the root of this problem before you can figure out how to work around it, because there are so many different reasons why you could hit that wall a few chapters in. It may be a case of needing more pre-planning, but it may also be a case of needing less pre-planning. It may be a case of needing to organize your writing more clearly and kind of maybe set some clearer goals and schedules, but it may also be a case of needing to slow down and write more slowly, write more carefully, so you stay really pleased with the quality. That's my biggest tip here, is really try and figure out why this keeps happening, because if it's a pattern, there's probably a reason. Why are you feeling dissatisfied with the story at this point? And once you figure that out, then you can kind of figure out how to like hack your process and figure out a workaround. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos from us. We've got new writing, editing, and publishing tips every Friday on this channel. Until next time, bye.